Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Shrimp City Report. My name's Devin. I'm joined with co-host slash son, DJ. How are you doing today?
Feeling a little underdressed, to say the least, but happy to be here either way.
Oh, yeah, to the max. So we are at TD McMurry in Mount Pleasant, Charleston, South Carolina. TD McMurray is a fine establishment of fashion, menswear, and other services that we're going to talk to TD McMurray about. How are you doing, TD?
I'm doing great. Thank y'all for being here.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Such a beautiful day. And
Yeah,
the sunlight is streaming in here well. We'll have some pictures of the shop, and it makes for a really joyous spring afternoon.
it does. Honestly, opening up a cafe in here wouldn't be a bad idea either. I can
Have
just see
put a
myself-
coffee bar at the
Yeah.
front. It'd be perfect.
Yeah, right. And you already have a guitar up front. You can start,
Yeah.
serenading and stuff.
The guitar, the beer fridge
Yeah.
is there. I mean, we may as well put a coffee bar too, right?
Oh, yeah, right on. So, TD, we happened upon your shop or place seems to be more of a passion project. Would that be accurate?
100%. We want it to feel like when you walk in the door, like you're home. We've got a seating area right at the front. Like I mentioned, the beer fridge right behind it. It's not about the, how many people can we get through the door in a single day? It's, do the people that come in have a good experience while they're here? And that's what we're shooting for.
It's crazy because so many stores now, clothing stores wise, you kind of lose that identity that you're talking about. Go to Old Navy and it's just clothes here. Like it's a barrage of like clothes, but you kind of lose the warm, customer service feeling.
That's what we really strive to make sure people know that we've got. We want people to come in the first time, have a good experience, and when they come back the second time, now we've got a feel for what they liked the first time. So we can kind of guide them and say, hey, you liked this item a whole lot. I think you should look at this. Or you like this item a lot. I think this would look great with that shirt you got 3 weeks ago. It really kind of helps them view their closet in a way where it's not, I wear this shirt with this pair of pants. It's, I wear this shirt with this, that, and the other thing.
That is great because as a man who struggles to put an outfit on every day, it takes like 30 or 40 minutes, especially because I'm colorblind too, because I'm just like, does this go together?
Yep.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, it's like dressing in the dark with him. It seems like you build a trust level with your customer.
That's what we shoot for.
That's fascinating because, it is bewildering, like DJ was talking about. Back in the old days, I think when I was a kid and we were going into, shops that were clothing shops, and it was kind of intimidating because, there were 7 salesmen coming at you, and that got intimidating. Then go to the era of the outlet malls where you got to bring the roof down just to find someone that works there. And this seems to be a pretty good balance. How did you get into the retail game?
So it's a funny and could be long story.
Oh.
So I grew up playing music my whole life. It's always been really important to me. It's, how I express myself. And that creative outlet has been something I've kept with me my whole life. No matter what job I worked, I was playing music on the side, whether, once a week, twice a week at local restaurants and bars, just to have that. And about 6 years ago now, I was just looking for something different. And a friend of mine had a casual men's store. And I shopped there a lot. I always loved dressing. And he would often make the joke, you're here so much, you may as well just be on the payroll.
Yeah.
So I went to him one day and I said, hey, how about putting me on the payroll for a little bit of part-time work? And I really fell in love with it. It was the first job I had that felt like, okay, this is using the creative side of my brain too. It's not spreadsheets. It's not insurance sales. It's creative. It was a passion, like you said, a passion for me.
Right. So that built, I guess, an enthusiasm for this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so when anybody gets enthusiastic about their hobbies, their art, their true path in life, then it's good. You were on a path that showed you that.
Yeah.
You didn't have to, really just dig it under rocks for the rest of your life. There it was. It was like your Damascus moment.
Yes.
So.
And my family actually had it all kind of clicked a few years actually after I started. My family had a long history in retail. My great-grandfather opened a women's and children's shop in South Louisiana in 1917 that ran for 80 years.
Wow.
And the counter that is behind you, DJ, is the same counter that was in his store in 1917.
Oh, that's awesome.
What a tribute.
That's so
yeah,
cool.
so I've got a little piece of family history here in the shop.
Have they all been to the shop? What do they think
My
about it?
parents have been. My brother's been. Some of the families made it out this way. Some not. We moved here about just under 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
not everyone has made it out here yet, but they will in time.
So where are you from? Louisiana?
Yes, I grew up in just outside of Lake Charles, Louisiana, and then I moved to Shreveport, which is North Louisiana, for college and stayed there for 15 years before moving here.
What college is in Shreveport?
Centenary College. It's a
I'm
small...
familiar. I've heard of it.
Yeah.
So what originally brought you to Charleston then?
I've got 3 kids. Now my oldest is 10. When we started talking about it, she was 7. And it's like, if we're ever going to move, it needed to be sooner rather than later. So she wasn't leaving friends in middle school, high school.
Right.
And the next part was, if we're going to pack up and start somewhere new, it better be somewhere we really want to be. And no matter how many lists you look at, the Carolinas are at the top of every one of them. So we looked at a few different cities, and we got to Charleston and said, this is home. This is it.
Interesting. Did you have any previous experience with Charleston?
I didn't.
No?
Wow.
And as a matter of fact, I was hesitant for Charleston to begin with before I'd come because, I knew of King Street. I knew there was no shortage of shopping in Charleston.
Yeah.
So to move somewhere that we didn't know a soul and, take on that venture was going to be a big risk. And then we got here and it's like, there is a gap in the market for what we do and how we do it. And especially when you zero in on Mount Pleasant where we are, there's not as much men's shopping here.
No, yeah.
There's plenty of people here and moving here every day. And it just made too much sense.
Yeah.
All right. You decided to do a store, a shop, a clothing retail.
Right.
The little bit of your experience in the past, I guess, helped you with learning how to do the logistics part of it, bringing in clothing lines, getting it set up. Tell us about that process.
So I did, I had 4.5 years at a men's shop in Louisiana, met a lot of really great people through that. And I still work with some of the same people that I worked with in Louisiana. The same reps I'm talking to once a week. When we go to markets, it's the same people. So I knew what I liked. I knew what I felt like this area needed, and just used that as an opportunity to, go to the trade shows and see, just kind of add on to what I already knew. The brands that I knew were great, and I brought some of those here. I also found some new ones that I chose to bring in that I thought were just too good of a fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our trade shows, I guess they're pretty common. How often do you go to those?
I do at least 2 a year. Sometimes I'll have a third in there. The big ones are going to be, there's one I go to in Chicago in February, and then I go back to that one in Chicago in August.
Okay.
I almost became blinded when you said Chicago in February, just with how cold it is.
Oh, man. It can be brutal.
The whole time, you know what? I would be looking at the jackets.
I know. That's probably what they sell the most of.
Absolutely. Thankfully, at the Chicago show, it's the whole market is in one building. So you get there in the morning, you're there until 5, and then you go to dinner and drinks. And
no windows, no clock, like a casino.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true. They start, they're pushing, cocktails to everybody by noon. So it can kind of turn into a big party if you're not careful.
So you're the primary buyer, I assume?
I am.
Okay. So you have to do the inventory. Do customers ever come in here with suggestions, or I want to look like this or this and that? Or how much does that drive possibly some of your buying?
I would say it can be pretty significant. If someone comes in and tells me a brand I've never heard of that says you should look into it, as soon as they're out the door, I'm pulling it up to look and see, do I think it's a good fit? Even if I really love the clothes, it may not necessarily be a good fit in my shop. So that's where I'm trying to see, does this fit into our current mix? How does it sit next to these other brands? Make sure the price point is in line with where we are, not something that's, too low below what we're carrying, too high above what we're carrying. And the fact of the matter is our customer is what keeps us here. So I have to take into account what they're suggesting.
Yeah, I'd imagine you also have to take into account location. I mean, Charleston beach attire, yacht attire, yacht boy look.
Classic Charleston looks, like seersucker and stuff. You gotta,
you do have to keep that stuff in mind, I assume, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are, brands will start selling, if I'm looking at in August, or rather, if I'm looking in February, I'm looking at the next year's fall, winter. So I'm looking for stuff that's going to start arriving in August.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they're selling jackets in August. And I'm like, guys, it's still 90 degrees in August. I can't,
Right. Right.
I have to be very mindful of when we're bringing in that kind of stuff. And if it is a jacket, is it lightweight? Can it be just worn over a t-shirt, roll up the sleeves kind of thing?
Yeah. So I was thinking about this just earlier today. I was thinking about the whole process of buying clothes and all that stuff. How much is it? I don't want to say gamble, but how much is it trying to predict, trends and what's going to pop up ahead?
A lot.
Obviously you've built up a lot of knowledge, which is great. What is your neural pathway for picking this stuff?
So that's where it comes down to us, for one, making sure that we're not pushing too far in any one direction.
Yeah.
We're not chasing super fast fashion trends. We'll have some stuff that'll touch on that for the guy who wants, to be, to stand out at the party.
Yeah.
But we try to keep it classic with a twist, is what I would say.
Yeah.
And then it's on us to educate the customer how they can, the stuff that maybe is a little bit out of their wheelhouse, it's our job to show how they can wear it and feel confident.
There you go.
Yeah.
That kind of comfort. That's what I was kind of alluding to, especially people that have certain body types that may feel like that something is not going to look good on them. Like on your website, I was looking at some of the inventory. The term body size on a shirt, I saw something that was like 29 and a half inches or something. So I was already like, I don't know what that means.
Right.
So it's going to be things like that. I looked on the website and I could never fit in something that's only 29 inches or something like that. So that's where I suppose a customer is going to say, translate this. Does it work for me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier, building trust with the customer. I will be the first person to say, if someone comes out of a dressing room and they ask my opinion, if I don't think it works for them, I'm going to tell them.
Good.
Because it does neither of us any good for them to go out in something that they're not confident in, that doesn't look how it should. And we want to make sure that they know I'm not just going to sell you a shirt just because I want you to buy a shirt.
Yeah.
I want it to be something that you're going to go out and get compliments in.
Yeah, I think you do need to be honest like that. Unlike my wife, when I wear something, no matter what she says, oh, you look fine, honey. And then I'm like, well, you ready to go to dinner? She's like, not with you looking like that. So I guess that comes back to the stylist, personal shopping. Is there like a dedicated service to the styling? How does that work?
It can, as much or as little as somebody wants, we're happy to do. So personal shopping, I would say, is more, you have someone, you tell them what you're looking for, they go buy it, they drop it off to you.
Okay.
A styling service would be, you come in, we try the clothes on, we show you, this pair of pants can be dressed up or dressed down. If you're going to dress it up, leave the hem, as it is. If you're going to dress it down, cuff it, throw on a pair of flip-flops or Birkenstocks.
Oh, cool.
Tuck in your shirt this way. Styling is the accessories that you're pairing with it. With, for example, watches, I sell Timex watches. Are there more luxurious watch brands out there? Absolutely. For us, Timex is at a price point where someone could get 2, 3, 4 watches over a year and change, you can have a dressier watch, you can have a more casual watch. And those little accessories really help dictate how your full look comes together.
Yeah.
I like that, especially the watches, 4 of them. That makes so much sense.
You can have one with a green face, one with a blue face, one with a gold band, one with a fabric strap. All of those can be worn differently, whether it's a fun pop of color, a different material. Those are all things that play into the whole vibe of your your outfit.
Do you ever have any, how should I put this, well-heeled people that may be here visiting on vacation for a month or so, and they come in and they're like, I need an outfit for the spring or the vacation, that come in and buy multiple outfits and multiple setups?
Absolutely. We had, last summer we had, several customers that were leaving for, maybe 2 weeks or a month.
Right.
And they'd come in and, get 3, 4, maybe 5 outfits.
Okay.
And when we do that, we try to make sure it's some statement pieces, but also building what you would call like a capsule wardrobe, like items in neutral colors that can be worn in 3, 4, 5 different ways.
Yeah.
So that way you're not packing 10 full outfits, you're packing maybe 6, and then you can show how you can mix and match the different pieces so they all work together.
So do y'all get a lot of walk-ins to want like the consultation treatment, or do y'all have like a booking in advance?
So there is a spot on our website that you can shoot us an email to book an appointment. Right now, I can do any day before we open or after we close, Monday through Friday. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, anytime during the day, I'm available. It just comes down to, if the store is open, is there someone here to help on the sales floor if I'm occupied with a person that has requested a personal styling service?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. How many people do you have working with you?
I've got one part-time salesperson, and then my wife handles a lot of the inventory management, kind of back of house stuff.
Good.
Okay. Yeah.
Good. I know that's a big job in itself.
It
Yeah.
is. She's a workhorse. Thankfully, she keeps me on my toes and makes sure if I'm, forgetting to put something in, she's telling me, make sure I'm doing it right. I couldn't do it without her.
So do you ever have any issues with supply chain, or do you freak out when something doesn't get delivered? Or
we're buying from enough brands that it hasn't really been an issue for us. When I was back in Louisiana during COVID, we did have issues with that. We brought in new brands during that time because some of our stuff couldn't get to us.
Oh, sure.
But hopefully we don't have a situation like that anytime soon.
Knock on wood.
Right.
Yeah.
But carrying, as many brands as we do, if something doesn't get shipped for whatever reason and we're really needing that inventory, we can generally get something from one of our other brands that could fit the bill.
Okay, good. Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that with all the different brands and frankly, different distributors.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like you're just selling eggs.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your music. You said you've been playing for a long time. You said before we started that when you were in high school, you played punk rock.
Oh, yeah.
Just tell us a little bit about how'd you start playing and what is your primary instrument?
So I got a drum set when I was probably in 4th grade, and that's what I started on.
Parents loved that, huh?
They, of course they did. And then my best friend got a drum set, and I was like, we can't have, we need another instrument. We can't just have a band of drummers. So I asked for a guitar for my next birthday. And ever since then, I've been a guitar player and a singer. And I've started with, punk rock. I was pretty sure that we were going to be the next Blink-182. High school, I started getting into a lot of classic rock, Led Zeppelin, AC, all the big, guitar bands.
As you will.
Right, of course. But really, ever since college, it's been a lot more kind of folk, Southern rock music, Bob Dylan, James Taylor, the Allman Brothers, Grateful Dead.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a hyper Grateful Dead fan. So
Same.
Love that. Are you still playing now that you've transitioned into Charleston, or?
So before we opened, I had a handful of gigs at like the Dinghy on IOP, Carolina Butcher and Beer Garden here on Coleman. And it's, I absolutely want to continue doing it. In the first year of being opened, I slacked off a little bit in terms of booking. I've been a little busy here. But in year 2, I plan to make it more of a priority. Just, once a month, something to make sure my guitars don't collect dust in the corner.
So I'm interested, do you find, you've got the clothing side of you and the music side, do you find a lot of cross in between, whether it's like choosing styles, stuff that you might want to go do a show in, or vice versa? Do you start like picking out like the styles you see at different concerts or venues?
So, I would say it definitely plays a small part in it because that's such a big part of who I am.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of, dressing musicians. Like
Yeah.
I've been a musician. I loved the dressing part for a show. I've always made sure that I put a good bit of thought into what I was going to wear for a performance.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually last summer had the opportunity to style local band Brave Baby for one of their photo shoots.
That's
and that
awesome.
was, for me, that was so much fun. And they've gotten to, they've become good friends of mine. We're actually, I think one of their singer is doing a kind of a side project with some of the guys in the bands Holyfield and the Simplicity that are here. And I think we're going to be setting up a little kind of like broken down after hours show for them here in the shop in the next couple months.
That's going to be awesome. Yeah.
Kind of not quite acoustic, but not full band, lights and everything.
That's going to be very cool.
Coming up in Charleston music most of my life, it's very supportive once you crack into it. As far as singer-songwriters, performers, single performers, indie rock.
You can find all genres here.
Yeah, those you really will get a lot of camaraderie with those bands.
Absolutely. Well, and there are people that are, playing in 5 different local bands, and that, sometimes it's 3 completely different genres mixed in there. So
they're called bass players.
Drummers.
The rhythm section.
Yeah, the band incest is huge here.
But I mean, like, it just goes to show, like, everybody is just happy to be playing music. That group is just happy to be playing music. And like I said, like, I grew up playing punk rock. I've got it. I still go back and, pull up punk rock playlists from my high school years and listen to them fondly, but there's room for all of it.
Yeah, agreed. And also being able to use your location to showcase a little bit of your friends.
Right.
As well. Got to say, by osmosis, someone's going to come in here and dig the clothes and, they're going to want to hopefully use your place.
That'd be the icing on the cake,
Yeah, that would be. So I guess we talked about the inspiration. DJ talked about that, inspiration between clothes and music. What do you see with the shop over the next year, 5 years? Do you think it's fair to do long-term planning?
I mean, to an extent, yes. I know I want to be here in, 5 years.
Yeah.
I know I want to do more with, like the little pop-up show we're going to do. I would love to do something like that somewhat regularly, whether it's once a quarter, once every other month, and have it grow to where, maybe at some point we're helping with a small music festival somewhere in the community.
That would be good.
I think it would, it's just, that's the kind of stuff that feeds my soul. So,
yeah, that would be good. Music festivals in Charleston do well.
Yeah.
And especially the ones that are
in Park Circle.
Yeah.
Rockabilly Q's a big one that comes to mind.
Yeah, we're from Park Circle. So, but if you curated it with stuff you like,
right,
that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got that going. The shop's doing well. Family's doing well, I assume.
Family's doing great. Kids are thriving. They're loving it. Yeah, they've got a million friends in the neighborhood, so they're riding bikes to everyone's houses in the afternoons. It's the perfect spot for
Okay, so you live in Mount Pleasant?
We do.
Okay, cool. Mount Pleasant's, to a lot of our listeners that aren't from Charleston, Mount Pleasant is a quaint and very, progressive, but it's also Southern.
Yeah.
So it's a great place to raise kids around around here, and it's also a great place to have establishment like you have. So.
Yeah, and like we said, it's close to downtown, but it's also not packed like downtown. Like wall to wall. So.
Right. I mean, we're probably from our house, 12 minutes to downtown Charleston, 10 minutes to toes in the sand on the beach. And that is, again, part of what brought us here in the first place. Where we were in Louisiana was seeing, a spike in crime. And it was just getting to a point where if we were ever going to go, it had to be then. And we found Mount Pleasant and said, this is a little slice of paradise right here. So
that's good. Yeah. That was fortuitous for you to make that decision. And it was fortuitous for us in Charleston and the Shrimp City Report to make your acquaintance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you want to tell us about your website, any social media you want to promote?
Absolutely. So our website is tdmcmurrayshop.com, and that's going to have everything that's on the sales floor is going to be live on the website. We do free local delivery. So if you place an order by 3 p.m. Monday through Friday, you will have it dropped on your front porch by the end of the day.
Wow,
that's awesome.
We're working on figuring out how to do a kind of try before you buy. So if you're, taking a trip somewhere but don't have time to come in the store, give us an idea of what you're looking for, and we'd have, a few different items in maybe 2 sizes to make sure that one of them would work.
Oh, good.
Drop it
That'll
off at
say
the end of the day, and then we pick up the bag in the morning. Whatever's in the bag, we keep. Whatever is not, you're charged for. And that way it gives you the chance to, we want you to come in and have the customer service experience. But if time just won't allow, we want to make sure that we can help you in any way we can.
No, that's a great idea, because I tried Stitch Fix. I can't tell you about how many times I had to return something just because the size was off.
Right.
Or something like that. Like literally like 3 or 4 times. So having multiple options.
Well, and we make it a point when a box comes in, I'm trying on pretty much everything that's in the box in my size, so that I know some items just happen to run big, some run small.
Yeah.
So that way I know, I'm usually a medium, and this I take the small, and this I take the large. And that kind of helps us gauge, especially as we get to know the customer. We can look at, what they've bought in the past and from different brands, know the sizes, and then gauge where they need to be in that. Really helps us kind of pinpoint it. We're doing it now. We're trying to figure out how to make that an option on the website. But right now, if anyone shoots us a message on our Instagram, which is at tdmcmurray.shop, we're happy to coordinate and work that out for them.
Okay, good.
Okay, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, and we, of course, will share the social media, the website, everything in the show notes. Also, you will see in the show notes that we have some photos of TD McMurray's, and we will have some a nice little bio in there that you can peruse before you listen to it. But then again, if you're listening to this now, you probably never mind. I just realized, are they going to read the show notes before they listen, or vice versa? Okay, so we're going to wrap it up here off of Coleman Boulevard in Mount Pleasant. We appreciate talking to TD McMurray. TD, that was very enlightening to us. And I know DJ's, the wheels are turning in his head, especially when you were talking about the multiple sizes that you could dress someone in.
Absolutely.
Yep. So for the Shrimp City Report, I'm Devin and
DJ,
and we are saying goodbye for the week, and we'll see you next week. Y'all stay safe. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.